Is it wintertime? Are you a human? Well, you might just have what we call the winter blues, and you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking all about it. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Rainey? Talking about it, but not solving
Never. We wouldn't do
it.
any such thing.
Why would we do
Yeah.
something so horrible?
Yeah. No such thing. Yeah, it happened to me. I mean, it's no surprise. Like we knew this was coming. We did an episode a couple months ago, like November is coming, winter is coming,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
type of thing. And no surprise, waking up, and it's just kind of like snowballs. I mean, go figure, winter blues
yeah.
having the winter theme, it snowballs because it builds upon itself.
Well, what I don't
Like,
get too is it doesn't matter what the weather is. Like it actually, like it's seasonal. Like it's weird because like we had here we had like really out of the ordinary warm weather till about like a week and a half ago. So I mean, really into November, and it was like 80. Like it was really nice. Doesn't matter, which is weird because that's also weird. Like I always thought it was light maybe or weather, but I was getting tons of light. Like it's so strange. So
mhm.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, and so me, it was just like one little thing that started the beginning of the weekend, and then it just got that kind of like got amplified to worse, and then before you know it, it's like Sunday, and I'm like, my whole life is terrible. Like
that's
it
what I
was
thought
just
last night. I was like, I'll
yeah,
never do this. It'll never work. Everything's too hard. I should just give up.
yeah, and it's crazy because like today things kind of turned around, but I'm looking at it from the other side of things, and I'm like, how is that freaking possible? You could go from like this teeny, it's like the what did they call that? The little like thorn stuck in the tiger's
Yeah,
paw. You go from
yeah.
like a little thorn in the tiger's paw all
To
the
a
way
noose
to like
around his neck.
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
so fast.
it does happen fast. That's the problem. And like, it's like, well, like I said, like last night I had a similar problem, but then like this morning I felt fine. I noticed for me too, it's a lot when I'm tired too, is the worst. But
Mhm.
it is weird though. I wish like I don't know. I do think sometimes I think or I started to think more, I guess, that it's expectations or ideas of expectations that we place on ourselves maybe. And because this is just my thinking about it, so whatever. But because the year's ending. So we know like December's the end of the year, January's gonna start a new year. Then you also have on top of that, you have holidays all stacked together, which is whatever, even if you like the holidays, they're stressful. Whether you like it or not, they are. Because you gotta do stuff, you're gonna travel, whatever, presents, all that nonsense. And so I think that culmination of stuff just is a lot. And like then, with the new year coming too, you also have thoughts of like, did I do what I wanted, where I'm not where I'm at, and blah 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 and blah and like all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's just a tough time. We put a
I'm
lot
glad
of
you mentioned,
pressure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that like planning type of thing because whenever I'm in a terrible mood, that's when I think it's the best idea ever to plan out my life and be like, why is nothing working out like it should? Even though I'm already living literally like my dream life of a few years ago, it's like
Yeah, but that was a few
nothing's
years
working
ago, and
out.
now you're a different you,
I
and
know.
you have
Yeah,
new
nothing's
needs.
working out. I need to replan my whole entire life right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a freaking crazy.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know. It's annoying too. It's very frustrating. I don't know why we're
Mhm.
not better. I don't understand why we're not better at it. And I'm sure this must have happened to people. Because the number of people that get depressed this time of year, which is quite a number. And we also just had the elections. So, there's so much crap going on this time of year. And I wonder if I wonder how much this affected people in the past too, because I'm sure it did, right? Because winter was slow,
Yeah.
depending on what time period you're looking at, right? Probably very slow. And yeah, it's just harder.
Oh, since time immemorial, like Hippocrates thought it was due to black bile called
Yeah,
melancholia.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's interesting because it's been happening forever, but I will say that like with age and with us talking about it and with me reading helpful books on it, like it does get to be better
Oh yeah,
somewhat.
no, this is much better than I used to be, which is surprising. But like, yeah,
Mhm.
no, it definitely gets better. I think you have to put work in though, right, to make it better. But it does
And
get better.
it's just helpful to recognize that like, oh, it's November. Oh, this is just one of those things. Oh, it's not going to last forever. Oh, I just need to chill.
It's funny. I found that recently I've been doing that a lot. I mentioned it before, but like acknowledging like what you're feeling and recognizing it. Like I've noticed that's been helping a lot. And even though it's not really like, because it's funny, because in one part of me thinks like, well, you're not really doing anything. You're just realizing what it is, right? That's bothering you. But it is helpful because when you realize it, then you can also kind of say, well, okay, the things I'm thinking are probably a consequence of what I'm feeling, not a consequence of reality or, a consequence of what's actually happening in the world.
That is an interesting point. And it actually brings up your question earlier about like, has this happened forever? Have a whole bunch of people? And actually, I think that probably more people are affected by it now because we're not in touch with our feelings.
Yeah,
Like
at all.
100 years ago, 200 years ago, before we were very like uh cranial, very brainy people, rational, all this stuff, before we thought about everything, we would have emotions and we would have feelings and they would just go blow through us and then we would be done with them.
Do you know what's funny? When you read, all right, so like reading philosophy and stuff, you end up like looking at obviously like intelligent people from the past because they're ones that were writing stuff down and stuff. They had the education, right? Not everybody did. It was very rare.
No, most people did not.
And what's funny is when you read them, you notice like all of them clearly struggle with like depression and stuff. But like, and I
Hmm.
always wonder, is it our thinking that because it's, rationality is only a part of us, but it's like a part that seems to want to dominate that if that's part of the problem because it's trying to dominate rather than work with or like, you know, I don't know, aligned with our feelings and stuff.
Dude, because it literally is the weaker part of us. Like emotions are so much stronger,
Oh
feelings are
God,
so much
it's so
stronger,
strong.
but rational's like, I'm better and you need to submit to my will. And
Yeah.
why are you not doing that?
Here's
Wham,
three
my life
reasons.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a weird thing.
probably. We are the cause of our own depression.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, and you know what too? Like it's always weird because I think this time of year is funny because like I said, you're like, well, this year we had an election too, but you have all these holidays, you have really quickly in a row. You have, Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, among a bunch of others, obviously.
Hmm.
And then New Year's Day, and then it's like after that you get
Nothing.
nothing for a while. And I don't,
Except for cold weather and
yeah, and
snow
like,
and bleakness. Yeah.
and the only benefit is it's like a new year, so you do have that new beginning type feeling because I think we are all affected by that year cycle, a
Yeah.
bit,
You
and
have the
like.
new year, so in about 4 days, you can be really disappointed with yourself when you
Bail all
fail to
your
live up
New
to your
Year.
New Year expectations.
Yeah, screw resolutions, dude. They're the
Yeah.
worst. I don't even
Yeah.
bother with them. I have longer
Yeah.
term plans.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it is funny. Ah, well, what do you do then to help other than recognition?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this. Things that were helpful for me. So one was noticing that it's just this time of year and it's just like a
Yeah,
temporary phase. So like that was super helpful because I'm just like, oh, it's November. Like, duh. Okay.
it does get
Uh,
annoying though that it always comes around though. It's like every year, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, but so what? Like it's annoying that my alarm clock goes off so early in the morning, but it still happens. And so yeah. So like there are annoyances in life. So that was one thing. Another thing was recognizing the cognitive distortion. So like overgeneralization. I mean, this was
oh
eh,
yeah.
this was pretty much the cause for it was like I had this one little thing go wrong and it snowballed into everything is wrong with my life.
Isn't that always the
And
cause though? It's always like that. It's always
right.
some small thing and then that amplifies to everything else. Like this
And
is,
so and so recognizing that that is an example of overgeneralization, which is just my brain working against itself because like this one little thing, I made it be everything, but it's really just this one little thing.
yeah.
And so trying like noticing that it was just this one little thing and one of the processes that I did that was helpful for that was just like counting my blessings, gratitude.
That's a good
So
one.
like,
Yeah, gratitude
what
always
things
helps.
do I have going for me? Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. But and then my brain would start discounting the positive, and it's like, yeah, but that stuff doesn't count because I really want this thing that's not working out for
And
me.
that's not it. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's funny too? I noticed this is because I noticed what was this like a couple months ago, and it's hard for me to do, and I know for various reasons, but when I when I'm more conscientious about my work schedule and I stop and take breaks more, it happens less. And I do notice that too, because I know it's tied to that. Like it's getting tired while you're trying to solve problems and do stuff because you feel like you're leaving stuff undone. And that gets into that, like, I'll never get this done. But it's like, well, I need sleep. that's really what it is, and I need a break. And I think that's a big
Mm-hmm.
part of it too. We don't give ourselves because it's so hard anymore to like take a
Mm-hmm.
break in the world we live in because it's fast paced. You're constantly being confronted with information about people doing better than you. There's just impulse to do way more than a human being can do in a day, like all these things. And I think
We're in a
that's a
lifetime, way more than a human being can do
yeah,
in a
yeah,
lifetime.
right. Like it's ridiculous. So I think that's a huge factor too, as well as just this idea that we have to meet these metrics that are just really stupid.
We have to not only be good at one thing, we have to be perfect at everything.
Yeah, which is absurd. It's funny?
Yeah.
When we got our dogs, this was 4 years ago, puppies. I remember looking online for I was looking for training stuff and all, just normal stuff. And I hadn't had a dog in a while because I had cats for a while. And everything you find on social media now, it's like all these people like, your dog has to be perfect and this and that, or like you're a bat. And it's like, one, I don't want my dog to be perfect because that's not a dog. That's like some weird little thing that you made into like a little robot. And like it's just funny though because then they like rag on people for not their dogs not being
And it's
perfect.
and it's crazy because people take what people say on social media as gospel. Like I
Yeah,
I was listening to someone today talking about some like BS that someone spouted on YouTube. And I was just like, I'm like anybody can start a channel on
literally.
YouTube. And
Yeah,
generally the dumber people get bigger audiences just because it's entertaining.
yeah.
But it's like it was crazy because what they were talking about was not backed by any science.
No, these
It
people
was
aren't
just
trained. Like that's what the pet thing. These people weren't trainers. They weren't vets. They weren't people that had any freaking. They weren't even like. It wasn't even like they were show dog trainers, or something. They were just like random people making videos about dog. And it's like,
wouldn't that be so funny if like they look back at history one time and you're able to see like the Enlightenment and like all of a sudden there's so much hope and then all of a sudden social media and it just all falls to shit and like all of science just
yeah,
it's like the beginning of the dawn of science and like things start
the
getting
end of
better and better
science.
and better and then social media and it's like disproves science or something like that and it just you can't trust
Yeah.
science.
But
Yeah.
it is funny. No, but that's it though. Like I think that's part of the problem is you get these representations of perfection all the time. But you look at some online, it's like anything else, right? They're showing you a part of their life. They're not
Hmm.
showing you everything, right? And
No.
and I said it to my partner too. I was like, dog training takes a lot of time. It's time consuming. It's not, especially like, you got to get it. I think it's important to get it to a comfortable level where like it works for you and you need to train
Hmm.
your animal, of course. But like show dog level training, like that's like a full-time job. Like it's
Hmm.
ridiculous, you know? It's just funny. But I think
Yep.
that's part of the problem. These expectations we have because we look for information from sources of perfection. So the expectation is this very high bar that I don't even think the people showing you have that level. And then,
Mm-mm.
it's like then you feel bad about yourself for not getting that. And it's like ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah. So, winter blues, other things that are helpful. So you mentioned like being tired, and I oftentimes notice that I'm in a bad mood when I'm tired. But if I try and rest, I'm like tired and restless. So like
Yeah.
I'll notice that I'm in a bad mood and I'm tired. I'll be like, okay, fine, I'm gonna take a nap, and then I'll try and take a nap and I can't, and it's the most frustrating thing ever.
Yeah. Well, it's like I also try to like I've been trying to be uh thankful that I have the drive that I have,
Hmm.
even though it sucks sometimes. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, because like you can get a lot done,
Oh
it's
yeah.
good, but like it's also hard. And I think that's just it. Like nothing's perfect. I think the other
Hmm.
problem too is we put too much pressure on ourselves uh to feel good all the time, which doesn't make any sense because we're
Yep.
animals. And animals don't feel good all the time. Like look at your
Uh-uh.
pets. Like granted, they don't like have a full range of emotions like we do, but they get tired, they get grumpy, they get,
But the
stressed,
thing is, they don't get
frustrated.
down on themselves for
No, and
feeling
it
bad.
passes
But
very
we
quickly,
do.
right?
We
It
do, and
passes.
that's
They
the
feel it.
difficulty.
Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was watching my dog last night. Like, he wanted something and he couldn't have it because it was late. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting that. And he's like laying next to me. Like, he stamped his foot and went like, hmm. And he does it all. It cracks me up too when he does it. It's so funny. It's so bitchy. But so he did that. And then, like, he looked at me and I was like, no. And he was like, "Grr." And then he just went and laid down. And, like, it passes. But I think, like, they, like, let themselves
He
experience it,
doesn't need to go to therapy for 20 years to get
Yeah.
over why you didn't give him whatever he
Oh, dude,
wanted.
it's so
Yeah.
funny that when he does it, it cracks me up. But like it like seems like they let themselves feel it, which I think we fight it
Hmm.
And it's kind of, because we think we're supposed to present a certain way, but we do. And that's the other problem. You go out in social life, right? And like people expect you to present
Well,
happy, you know.
I heard something that was really helpful for me in one of the books by David Burns, like the Feeling Good, Feeling Great, any of those books. He was talking about how like, if you use these models and everything, you're gonna get a lot happier. Like that's just they
Yeah,
and they do it through a lot of like they test people before and after, and people just get happier in general. But he's like, you're never gonna be happy 100% of the time. Like everybody's entitled to 5 good days a week, but you're also entitled to 2 bad days a week. And
yeah,
that's a really helpful thing for me every time I'm feeling down because I'm like, oh, this must be one of the 2 bad days. Okay, that
that's a
makes
good thing,
sense.
but yeah,
Fine. Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's it. Our expectations are really skewed from reality. Because, like, it's just like when
Happily
people,
ever after,
well,
dude.
that's the problem. Like, I think we screwed up so bad. And, people have that expectation. Like, if I just get that thing, if I just get these things, I'll be happy. As if, yeah, you'll be in that state from that point on. But it's not going to happen because that's just not how life
Mhm.
is. It's all over the place. And I think, yeah,
Mhm.
it's reminding yourself that's very helpful.
Another thing that was helpful for me was redefining a short-term vision because I have a long-term vision, but it's like it's a long-term vision and it just sucks like every day making a 1% or a 0.1% improvement, but it's like so negligible over the long term of that
Well,
thing
it's
that
like
it
you'll
seems like
get
I'm
there.
not moving
Yeah,
anywhere.
you'll get there in maybe 5 years or 10 years.
Hmm.
But you also have to live every day of those 5 and 10 years incrementally getting there, which
Right.
sucks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like redefining a shorter term goal that I can actually see in the next few months that motivated me so that I can be like, okay, this is why I'm working towards it. So let's just do this because yeah, I'll get to the big long one that I want to, but this is the interim. This is the waypoint.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, because I think that's
Hmm.
the other side of that pressure is we have the dreams that we're striving for that keep us going, that are big,
Hmm.
but
Right.
also they don't happen. We all want them to happen overnight, but they don't either. That's the other problem.
No.
It's really time is such a bitch, man. It is. It sucks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. That's what I did. Anything else you did do? Winter blues?
Just recognizing it is very helpful for me
Yeah.
recently. And also just stop when you notice it, just stop. Just stop putting pressure on yourself to do crap and just stop.
You
Watch
know what I
them,
did? Oh,
relax.
yeah. You know what I actually did that was really cathartic?
What?
I was in a miserable mood and I went to the gym and I just lifted as hard as I could with
That
like
helps though.
yeah, with like some good music on, and I was just so angry. And everybody that looked at me was just like, "Oh!" And
He's using
afterwards, it
steroids.
felt
Watch out.
afterwards, I felt great afterwards. And yeah,
That's always a
so
good
that
practice, though. I used to do that in grad school, was just go to the gym because it was a great way to because you have like, a lot of us too sit a lot when we're working, and you have this
mhm,
like pent up physical energy too. And it's also a good way to get rid of your emotions because that's energy. It's all just energy. If you get it out of you, you feel better. That's a really good one. Yeah.
mhm,
Also, just like doing something different, like hobbies are great. I've been doing that
yeah.
more too because it's like just saying, screw this, what I'm working on, and just go do something else. It's fun. That's no pressure. Can be nice.
Hobbies, but if you're not making money from it and you're not
Yeah.
like the best in the world,
You're
what's the point of
failing.
doing it?
You're a failure.
Oh my gosh. I laugh, I chuckle to myself all the time because people are always like, I'm not like great at it or anything. It's like, who the hell cares? Like,
Those
I'm not doing it
nine,
for money, but they
those
talk about something that they're
99.9% of
interested in.
people.
Because I
Yeah.
ask it, like whenever I'm meeting people, I really don't care what they do for work because I never understand what they're doing. They're like, I'm a senior retail manager liaison number 2. And it's like,
All
I
the
don't know what the
titles
hell
sound
that is.
super fancy. I
Yeah.
know.
But like, so like I like to ask them, I'm like, what do you do for fun? And half the time people are like, well, I'm not great at it, but this, or I don't
I
make any
watch
money from
Netflix.
it, but this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And and it's like people always need to preface their hobbies with, I'm not amazing or
Earning
I'm
from
not
it.
making money from it. Yeah, go figure.
It's like that's the definition of a hobby, jackass, is that you're not making money from it. Is that you're doing it as a hobby for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
All
got it.
right. So, anyways, hopefully that helped cheer you up and get you through some of your winter blues. If it didn't, comment, we'll try and get back to you. Or you
And you're
can
not
listen to one
alone.
of,
You're not alone,
yeah,
right?
you're
Everybody goes
definitely
through this.
right there with us.
Yeah.
And or you could listen to one of our hundreds of other podcasts. Maybe something else we say is useful. We've been doing this for 5 years at this point,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Holy freaking
We're
cow.
in year 5, I
We're in
think.
year 5, so this is between 4 and 5 years.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.